Hi guys. So I want to talk about indirect apologies. Okay, when someone hurts you, like I've been hurt a lot in my life, um, and as an empath, and one of my lessons I've learned in my healing journey is that I would always be the one to make it right, or even when it wasn't my fault. You know what I mean? And so, because I'm a peacemaker, the Holy Spirit inside you, and blah blah blah. And so, one thing I learned as I healed is like, no, you know what I mean? And I learned about indirect apologies. Like they'll try to go around you and say, well, I feel sort of this way, or and I want to, try to, how can I say it? How can I put one? How can I say it? Just to try to instead of really empathize and really take accountability in their heart, that wow, I hurt this person's feelings, you know what I mean? Like, and they're really sincere and apologize, you know what I mean? Like, and or I did this wrong and they know it, and God, put that out in their life and stuff like that. And it could be, mother. That's why I talk about narcissism a lot, and I've seen a video, and it's hard for them, like I said, to apologize, to take accountability, to say thank you. And these are the things you want in somebody, okay, guys, whether it's platonic, romantic, relationships, family members, you want to make sure inside that they have the capability to say thank you. You're welcome. I am so sorry. Sincerely, you know what I mean? Like when something happens, like, and right away the Lord will give me accountability, I will go to that person and say, I feel like I did this and I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that, you know what I mean? And because God, gave me that download, you know what I mean? And I'm able to go to that person, and say, hey, and take accountability, right? And before, like I said, when I wasn't healed, I would be the one apologize. I would be, and that's what narcissists do. They hurt you, and then they expect you to make it right. No, that's not okay. That means God needs to do something in those person's heart. If they don't know how to directly, sincerely apologize to you with a whole heart, and it depends, especially if it's abuse or anything like that. That's not an apology, okay? That's not an apology. You know what I mean? And you are worth more than that. I am worth more than that. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm so real about the abuses, guys, and everything. Even when I was younger and I'm arguing to my mom, all this stuff like that, I've learned, you know what I mean? And overly, took accountability that was not my accountability to take. And that's what lessons are in other people's lives. You know what I mean? And I really feel God is doing lessons in a lot of people that are ungrateful, have ungrateful hearts and stuff like that. God is doing work in their life as well. Just like the empath, God's like stopping, no, and telling us, no, it's not your job to fix that. What they did was wrong. You know what I mean? And it's their job to sincerely do the work and their hearts and intentionally have a heartfelt apology. And depending on what it is, you know what I mean? Or like I misunderstand you, or you know what I mean? Like you, like at work, like the other, like I shared it with the girl in one of my videos. I mean, I was on YouTube, or here, one of those, and she wasn't able to directly apologize to me. And then that's when God was like, and, she had a big old attitude, all this stuff like that. And, I don't even know. And of course, personal issues in her life or whatever it was, you know what I mean? But anyways, and here I am, the peacemaker coming to, acknowledge and try to apologize, you know what I mean? And she didn't even apologize, you know what I mean? Like, and so, and get him saying, it's like, that is unacceptable. You know what I mean? That is unacceptable. People need to learn to take accountability. You know what I mean? And that's between God and them and in their hearts. You know what I mean? And that's where God takes over in people's lives. You know what I mean? Like I said, and that's what we call an indirect apology. Okay, guys? And, like I said, I'm a very humble person. You know what I mean? Like, and God, like I said, I built a relationship for over 15 years with the Lord. And so, and I've learned that really well, how to do that, you know what I mean? But, and I'm also learned too, as well, that when someone is wrong, it is not your responsibility to fix it. It is that other person's responsibility to fix it. If that's what God leads, you know what I mean? It is the other person's responsibility to have a heartfelt, sincere, where the other person feels that apology. And depending on what the situation was, like I share my narc story, you guys can follow along with that. And you'll know in that person, and you'll know, like I said, I know, you know what I mean? Like when people come to me, I'll start crying. I'll start, like my heart has been purified, honey. And I could tell a fake from a real, you know what I mean? And mind you, it's not just about some indirect apologies or just because someone wants to be in your energy. Right? Like I share you guys in my story, in my journey, you know, a child growing up, narcissistic abuse, all that stuff like that. It's not okay, you know what I mean? Like, you are worthy, and I tell myself every day that I am worthy of real, genuine people and real love. And if people don't want to do that work or to be in your, then they're not going to be in your life, period. Especially someone like me that has a beautiful heart, that's a bit that goes out here and loves. You have to have, I'm not having no counterfeits in my life, you know what I mean? Learned that lessons. There's indirect apologies, there's sincere apologies, you know? And when you're sincere and stuff like that, it does not mean there's consequence to your actions. Of course there is. But at least that's a start, you know what I mean? That's a start to people's healing when it's sincere. You deserve more. Don't accept an indirect apology. That's not an apology. That's where you lift up in your situations, whatever it is, and you give it to God, because that's unacceptable. I literally will start crying when I, like, anything, you know what I mean? Like, in any situation, or like my dad or anything like that, and I would sit there and literally apologize with my heart for anything, you know what I mean? Because I am so sincere. And many times I've done that, and I'm like, it's okay, and I'm like crying and stuff like that, you know? Because I mean it. People should have treated you, like I said, I was watching a video, if they wanted to be in your life, then they should have treated you the first time better. They should have treated you respectfully. I don't care when we come across people what they look like on the physical. You don't judge somebody and do harm them or hurt them for any reason. We truly get to know people, and you can do it from a distance, stuff like that. We truly get to know people and stuff like that. And like I said, I was misjudged a lot, you know, and I am who I am. I love who I am, you guys, and I'm not here to, what can I say? I'm not a people pleaser. I learned that lesson. I healed that from, you know what I mean? I'm insincere and I'm a real person, and I speak the truth, and I do it in love. Like I said, I've learned to love myself these past 15 years, and I remove anything and everything. If I don't feel loved by you, you are not going to be in my energy. And it's not your job for everybody to be to understand you either. You're not my soul tribe, obviously. But I just wanted to share that indirect apologies. You know, and it'll try to like shove it off and like, oh yeah, and say like a joking thing or whatever. No, that's not an apology, you guys. That's not okay. I'm someone that wants to talk about everything. That's what you know what I mean? Let's get, you know, you get deep, you get talk about everything like that, the cheers, all that stuff like that. That's another thing we talk about, but narcissists tend to like to brush things under the rug, time go by, and then let's just scoop all that shit under the rug. When you're the one that went through pain, when you're the one that they hurt, you know what I mean? No, that's not okay. And it's unacceptable. So I don't know, I was watching this video and something might prompt me in my spirit to talk about indirect apologies, because I had a lot of them. In my past, I would accept it when I wasn't healed and stuff like that. No. Now that I evolved and I keep pulling myself and I keep healing, that is not acceptable. Especially if someone hurts you. and your imps need to stop. So continuing, indirect apologies. I say impets, and I say, and this is, I just share a bit because we do a lot. And when you are following that sincere apology and you're talking about everything and the person's taking accountability and he or she, whatever the situation is really taking account, they're going to mention it. They're going to sit there and say, I am, like I said, first off, acknowledge what you did first. And that's where they'll ask you, try to say, try to think of what they did to get you to say that, so they could just apologize for that. No, they need to acknowledge what they did wrong and point those things out. And they know that in their heart, you know what I mean? Unless they're trying to be sneaky and a liar, and you know what I mean? And but someone that's sincere is going to point out, say, I did this to you, I did this to you, I did, you know what I mean? Like, and some things, of course, depends on your situation. You really don't, I feel like in my situation, God don't want me to hear, you know what I mean? And so, because a lot of nasty stuff that happened in my story. And anyways, and so, but a real sincere apology is acknowledging, talking about that, then turning from those ways. Because they're like apologizing and go right back and doing it again. Get what I'm saying? They're not sincere. A real apology means that they're sincere in their heart and they're turning from those ways of hurting you. Or hurting themselves, or hurting anybody around them. That's when you know when someone's sincere. Versus an indirect apology or someone just trying to get back in your energy, you guys. Know the difference. And normally if you're not healing so that, you won't catch that. But when you heal and you evolve, you see every little detail. What else is I going to say? And I see these videos. I saw a video, and don't worry, guys. I got examples for you. But I seen this video, and it was a narcissistic mother, and she's putting her daughter down, and this girl had broken out, and like I was crying, because like I literally, my spirit, of course, Holy Spirit inside you, and she was just standing there like her own mother. You know what I mean? And then she was breaking out, probably wishing her ugly, probably jealous of her looks. That's a narcissistic thing, you know what I mean? Jealous of their own child, jealous of their own looks, jealous of, you know what I mean? Like, and I could see her, she was broken out and stuff like that, on her face and stuff like that. This is the things I did a lot of inner work, you guys, and as part of my gifts, I could see that, you know what I mean? And she's just sitting there, and trying to hold it together, and you could see in her heart that she wants to just cry, you know what I mean? Like, and you can see she's just trying to defend herself, but it's her own mother that's supposed to love her. And that's hard. And then remember that's a narcissistic abuse where you pouring into someone and you're repeating the cycles. Now this person, God forbid, hopefully will be the one to break those cycles, but then she goes up and turns that abuse into men. She's the female. So now she might be a narcissistic female, and now she's pouring that abuse she endured into other people now. This is what you get what I'm saying? And it's nasty, right? But that's where they have to do the work in themselves, you know what I mean? And to see that, to break their cycles, you know what I mean? Because any kind of abuse is not okay. And then for that person to indirectly come and not even try to apologize or sincerely, you know what I mean? Like, apologize to her. And I have a friend too, and she shares her stories. Her mother was narcissistic, and she shares all the stuff, you know what I mean, with me, a really close one. And anyways, and so, but that's not okay, you know what I mean? Like, and period, and I know, and it's hard when your mother, or if they're not healed, or if they're not called to be healed in this life, it's hard because you have to put boundaries on them, even if it's your own family members, you know what I mean? And you can't be around them, you know what I mean? you have to put strong, strong, strong in any form of putting you down thing. You walk away. You get what I'm saying? But anyways, I just want to talk about indirect apologies are not okay. You know, even when we're peacemakers, there's things that people, like I said, everybody has to take accountability of their own actions. You know what I mean? And then turn from them. Like I said, I really want to share that. And that's what this says, just to turn from your wicked ways, you know what I mean, in the Bible and stuff like that. And it's like, when someone apologizes and when someone's sincere and they're changing, it means they're turning from those ways. They're not doing them anymore. Not continue repeating it. Get what I'm saying? This is where this indirect apology comes from, and then they just go back and do the same thing. Just because they want to come back in your life. Like I said, platonic, romantic, family members, it does not matter who. Know the difference, you guys, okay? But I think that's everything I wanted to share in this, you know, and I want to say God bless you. And I'm going to go live on my TikTok. You guys, so it's Naomi Ruth. If you guys want to follow me over there, and if you're on TikTok, my YouTube is @Naomi Ruth 333. I love you guys, and God bless you, and I'll see you on my next one. Toodles. Happy Saturday. And that's why I say, you know, just because you birth somebody doesn't make you a mother. A mother is... That was a good example. For me, the image I have as a mother is pouring into that child, building them up and raising them up, and to be the best they could be, and to learn and love, you know what I mean? That child could be confident in who they are, you know? And love themselves and not have to worry about insecurities because of what was projected onto them as a child, you know what I mean? From their own parent. You get what I'm saying? And that's generational, right? You see the generational cycles passed on. You know what I mean? But when you're called to break that, I guess that's what you call you're the one that's the black sheep of the family. You always felt different. You know what I mean? Like, or there's something about it. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't really blend in with the family, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you end up turning to the blueprint. And you're called to break those cycles. But anyways, I just wanted to add that, you know what I mean? Like, but yes, indirect, are not okay. Bye guys, love you. Bye.